Welcome back. It's time for Press Review. And just a reminder, today is World Broadcast Day. And of course, we'll be joining up with one of our stations. And Mike is just over there making his way down there. And we're going to take a look at their program, The Situation Room. Do stay tuned for that. But before we get into all that, let's keep it in the press, where you take a look at what's making headlines across board. And the biggest news today has to do with McDonald's Mariga's perceived red card from vying for that Kibra in the Kibra by-elections. Now we have the Star giving us a headline telling us Mariga red card, officer defied Chebukati order. Then we have the Standards, the Daily Nation telling us what Mariga red card means for Jubilee and ODM. And then pictured on the top page is a crestfallen of the Standard, is a crestfallen McDonald Mariga after he received the news that he had been barred, but obviously we know that he's going to appeal this. Now, this is a big story and definitely going to continue. So we'll analyze this, but in view that this is something that's developing, and we'll have more to tell you on it as the days go by. Now, joining me for the discussion today is Bernard Wakoli, who is a political analyst. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, what do you think about this one?
It came as a surprise to many Kenyans.
Yeah.
Although I don't think it was a surprise to Jubilee and the candidate. I
How
think
come?
they must have been informed prior to the decision that Mariga was not a registered voter. And having said that, because this is something that we have experienced before, you remember the case of Kethi Kilonzo, when he wanted to vie for Makueni senatorial position after the passing on of his father. It also came to the fore that she had not been a registered voter, either in Makueni or anywhere in this country.
Yes.
Although they were push and pull to see her contest, but all was futile.
Yeah.
So for the Mariga's case, I think he has been given 7 days to appeal. But the law says if from the time the position was declared vacant to the point when the election will be carried out, somebody cannot register in between. So the registration closed the moment Parliament declared that seat vacant. Absolutely. And it will only open after the elections, the by-election. Yeah. So Mariga must have registered before that date. So I've seen some membership card, registration card doing rounds on social media that he registered in Stare constituency. So we don't know if he registered in Stare constituency as a voter, then he is still validly able to contest for this seat. Do
you think this is a technicality or just political games going?
Yeah, it could be. From where we sit, we can't really deduce what happened, but it could be. I don't think it was by default.
Yes.
This is something that if Mariga knowingly, actually, that he has not participated in any electoral process, he has not been, acted as a voter or voted in at any given time, then it's upon himself to have informed the Jubilee Party that he's not a voter. But another thing that also comes to people's mind, what are the checklist for approving a person to contest for a parliament or for a seat within a party? Because I tend to believe that the Jubilee, before approving Mariga, must have gone through their checklist and know that these are the possible candidates, because there were other candidates who really wanted to run, and maybe they were qualified and registered voters than Mariga.
Right.
So it's a wait and see, but I hope his appeal will be considered, given the resources he has put into this bid, so that we don't discourage many young people interested or willing to venture into murky waters of politics to shy away.
Yeah, at least, but
it's a baptism by fire. Anyway.
Yeah, at least seeing this, they will know what they're in for.
Yeah.
But then let's, as the curious case of McDonald Mariga develops, we'll be keeping you updated. But of course, let's take a look at another yet developing story, and that is the Mau Forest evictions. Now, CS Keriako Tobiko has said that now they're going to be going for the big fish. And we're being told on the top page of the Daily Nation that Tobiko tells lawmakers DPP in reviewing files before taking action against those involved in the plunder of said water tower. And this is also on the Standard and various other papers. It's something that's developing a bit of a dilemma. Should we conserve the environment? Should we arrest the people who are wrongfully selling the land, or should we think of the common Wananchi on the ground who is suffering for it?
Tricks, the issue of Mahu is very tricky, even for us analysts, because we're not sure exactly what happened or what's happening. And every time the issue of Mahu comes to the front line, we always see politics being played.
Yes.
Now, the issue has been so politicized to the level that you can't really know if it's environment or if it's politics being played. Because on the other hand, we have the Maasai community insisting that people must move away. Even their leaders, we saw the other day the Anglican church bishop saying, okay, people should go. Whereas on the other hand, we have leaders from the Kalenjin community saying people, even if it's eviction, they should be done with the dissent, you know. And this takes across all the political divide. So we are not sure whether it's environment or if it's politics of existence, because you'll realize that Mau is a cosmopolitan area.
It is.
And when one community starts paying for other communities' blood, because so many people's lives have been lost, and we have seen gangs being armed, sometimes escorting police to evict those who are the people who are living there. So you wonder at what point are the civilians taking arms and even moving in the presence of the police, touching houses. And doing all those things. So as much as we will wish to conserve our environment, but let us not just focus on Mau alone. We have so many forests and water catchment areas that have been destroyed. And I've said on this forum tricks, we have so many reports that have been, done by various commissions on historical injustices. And these are the things that need to be addressed moving forward, so that we don't focus on one element or one issue and forget the others. We have so many things that need to be addressed. So Kriego Tobiko saying that he's now going for the big fish. He might be, in his rightful position to talk about it. But again, the sharks might pull a string on him. Because these are something that have been there for quite long.
And there are probably people who are eager to protect their interests. And if you want to get a full picture of that, like I said earlier, picture is worth 1,000 words, and their families have been captured there, looking stranded with their belongings in sacks, and children eating out of pans, just showing you the reality of matters away from all the talk before committees and what have you. So it is a very tricky situation, like Mr. Wakoli has said. Now let's move on to yet another story, and this has to do with a very heartwarming story that has made headlines on the nation, and it is a policeman who has traded his gun for chalk rather. Now this is Constable Jairus Mulumia, who teaches math to Standard 5 pupils in Forole Primary School in Marsabit County. This is after the school failed to have teachers coming to that area because it's an insecure area. So he has to, be a security, someone who is in charge of security, but at the same time teach these kids the much needed knowledge that is mathematics. What do you think?
This is very much commendable tricks. Looking at the situation on the eastern or northern frontier, you realize that after acts of terror, many teachers from upcountry, like from other parts of the country, ran away from those areas, and leaving these children very vulnerable in terms of accessing quality education. So when we see our security men, our men in uniform, taking up the role of, impacting knowledge to these pupils, then it's something that should be encouraged. Because, and I now start thinking about the kind of curriculum that our police officers and, men in uniform go through in their trainings. Maybe at some point, as much as they are trained on shooting and, those things, but at some point we need to include some elements of education, like, guiding and counseling, and those who are good enough to teach in subjects that they were also in school, and at some point they must have maybe performed better than some of us. So taking up, and this case is really demystifying the common narrative that the police officers are failures.
Yeah.
They can't, they can't do anything. They are students, D, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really demystifying and saying, okay, this man went to this force not because he was stupid, but because he liked doing that, and he was moved to do that. And so when we see him trying to do what he's doing, we appreciate our men in uniform.
Absolutely, and reminds me of the cops that actually saved a baby a few months ago, which is also quite commendable.
We have seen even others taking up the Bible and preaching,
Yes, and of course he also brings forth the power of social media, because while he's up north taking care of these children, educating them, he had no idea that his photo was trending online, and of course his good work has made him famous. But I'm hoping more can be done actually to change
more
the
can be done. But again, you have brought in the issue of social media.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering at what point was somebody taking his photo from that, So were pupils with the cameras, with the
or maybe a
phones,
colleague, I have no idea.
He had a colleague who was doing that.
Absolutely.
But all said and done, it is a good move. It's very much commendable, especially in the northern frontier, where we don't have enough teachers, and children need to compete favorably with the rest of the Kenyan pupils. So it's something that needs to be appreciated.
Yeah, and it's also good to note that he has authorization from his bosses. And we're told here, he said, I did not know my photo was trending online because the people who took it only said they were documenting about education in the region, but then he insists that he has authorization from his bosses, so he's not abdicating his duty. It's very important to note that, but very commendable, hoping that he's rewarded in one way or another for
Of course, he will be rewarded.
Yeah. Now let's move on to back to the Kibra elections, and we are taking a different angle, and this has to do with maturity. We're being told that ODM is demonstrating quite a bit of maturity, given that their nomination was smooth sailing. And if you take a look at the top page of the Standard, we have very jubilant ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and the Kibra candidate Bernard Imran Okoth right there, being happy, celebrating, and of course moving forward. And this is a sharp contrast to the situation with Jubilee. What do you think?
Yeah, I have seen this photo trending on social media, and I just want to commend and appreciate the kind of maturity we are seeing in our political dispensation.
Yes.
Because Kenya has come from very far. From the days of one-party system, then we started with the two-party system where we had Kadu and Kanu, then Kanu swallowed the Kadu.
Yeah.
Jaramogi Oginga Odinga tried to form another party, KPU, but it was disbanded. We have moved from that up to the level of multi-party democracy in 1992, 1991, 92. So, and from there has been very little tolerance on opposing political parties.
True.
But seeing that big major political parties, that's Jubilee and ODM, can do their politics in a peaceful way. And this has to do with the discipline that we are seeing in our political systems. Previously, our system has been so much engulfed with the goonism, where men are hired or ladies are hired to cause harm to opposing political parties or supporters of political parties. But when we see them doing what they are doing together, as in it gives a picture of hope, it gives inspiration that in future maybe we'll have two political parties doing their campaign on the same platform.
Yes.
And just sell your ideas, sell your ideology, and let people vote. I
would love to see that day on the same platform. That would be interesting. Because the only time you see that is during television debates, and sometimes
and
they
it's
don't
normally
even show
very
up.
hot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's usually, it makes headlines actually because of how tense it is. So it will be interesting to see if we mellow down to that. I'm a bit skeptical knowing Kenyan politics.
Maybe this photo was taken at a point where the ODM was trying to, was trying to measure the depth of the Jubilee's, support base within Kibra, because the ODM has been saying they are going to take it by all means. And when you see Jubilee doing the only time we saw a fierce contest in the former Langata
Yes.
was when there's a so-called Nairobi businessman from Western tried to wrestle the Langata seat against the former Prime Minister
Yeah.
Raila Odinga. And when Livondo failed to manage...
Stanley Livondo.
Yeah, Stanley Livondo. When he could not manage to wrestle Raila, then it became Raila's dominance
Yes.
within that area. So this is the first time that we were going to see a fierce contest to
yeah.
wrestle the seat, because it is still said the seat belongs to Raila. You know,
Yeah.
although he has retired, he's also doing
Out
other
of it,
international
yeah.
things, but his presence in Kibra and Langata is very, very strong.
It's felt.
So I just hope that Mariga will be given his ticket, will be considered to vie, so that we see a healthy competition.
Yeah.
Although I'm not ruling out other parties. We have Owalo is there for NC. We have Engineer Butichi of Ford Kenya is
Right.
also running. I saw the other day Chap Chap has also endorsed a lady
Yeah.
to vie. So, but we want this healthy competition. But I know Jubilee and ODM were going to give a very strong competition and healthy competition in this contest.
Definitely. And speaking of political tolerance or lack thereof, page 6 of the Standard is telling us Ruto allies in Central remain defiant after Nyoro was released. Now, the arrest of Ndindi Nyoro did cause a lot of mayhem in that part of the country after locals took to the street in protest. And the genesis obviously was a scuffle during a church service earlier on, where him and Minder Commander went at it. What do you feel about this? This is on page 6 of the Standard.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that His Excellency the President and his Deputy President are working together.
Yeah.
These are things that are created by people for their own political interest. Because Tricks, when you look at what's happening, you'll go to some functions, you see people claiming to be aligned to Deputy President, giving donation, and they say that we have been sent by the President to give this amount. The other side will also say, we are here, we have been sent by the President to give this donation.
Right.
So can we then conclude that the President is the one causing all this confusion?
Yeah.
Because why would the two functions all claim to be, having the President's endorsement?
Yeah.
So at that point, then we need to understand that it's just politics of survival. People are seeing threat wherever they see that the Deputy President might maybe become president of this country, and they feel that this guy might shortchange us, might not want us to be in leadership. So they have to go somewhere and claim that they are now supporting the president. Absolutely. But I can assure you, both those who are in the Tanga, I don't know where that word came from, and the Keleweke thing, they are all supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes,
and I know that there is no division, there is no bad blood between the president and his deputy. So all these are just creations of individuals who feel politically threatened.
And are eager to defend their,
yeah,
interests,
their territories and interests.
Yes. Well, let's see how that one transforms and develops. But still, there's a sad story that is on page 3 of the Standard, whereby a 14-year-old girl killed herself after a teacher chided her over her menses, and she was called dirty. And of course, the embarrassment after she soiled her outfit led her to take her own life. Now, these are things that are seen as small matters, but that little packet of sanitary towels could be the difference between someone living a normal life or actually opting to take their own life owing to a feeling of hopelessness. Now, this is also tied to a whole trend that was making rounds on social media about suicide in our societies. And next to that story, you have another one that is telling us the WHO is pushing for pesticide rules to tame suicide cases. Now, drawing a really a connection between those chemicals and, of course, suicide. Now, it's sad that we're going through this right now, and it is a protesting parent has been quoted there saying it is wrong for a female teacher to humiliate a girl before the pupils because of her periods. How can a 14-year-old girl withstand this sort of humiliation? And what you're seeing on your screen right there is those parents and local members of the society going to the streets to the public area to protest the death of that student of Kabiangek Primary School in Konoin constituency on Tuesday.
Yeah, Trix, it's sad that we are here to comment on such an incident because I feel strongly that issues of menstrual health or menstrual hygiene should not be seen as it used to be in the,
Dark
in the
ages,
past,
yeah.
where people used to look at it as something which is dirty, something which is unholy.
Yeah.
Others even claimed it was a curse for a lady to go through menstruation. But it's time now that everybody need to understand and embrace and know that menstrual hygiene is a process in all women, and it gives us a sense of fertility or reproductivity in this in the women.
Yes.
So for us to start, shaming girls who are having menstrual hygiene instead of protecting them and giving them what they need, the tools they need to live a healthy, a healthy life. And it's very sad to note that it was a female teacher who was making such a comment. And if it were a male, then it will have been understandable.
Yeah.
But this is a lady who understands the process, who understands, and who is supposed to give courage and support to this kind of ladies.
Or try to figure out why is this girl unable to handle this and maybe help or create awareness.
And there have been cries and clamor that menstrual tools like menstrual hygiene products like sanitary towels should be made available free to pupils or to girls below the age of 18 because these are people who cannot purchase, who cannot afford them, and it's very difficult in some communities for a girl to approach the dad or the elder son or the elder brother to ask for for these products. So if the government can subsidize and make these sanitary products available to these girls free of charge as part of the free education, then we are going to save many lives, because this is a life that has been destroyed unexpectedly.
Absolutely.
And it would have been protected if there were sanitary products for use by the girl.
And if not that female teacher, who then can help this girl? And studies have proven that girls are resorting to drastic measures. Some of them are
very unhygienic.
Staying out of school because of their menses. Some of them are seeking out boyfriends and trading sexual favors for money that they can use to actually buy sanitary towels. So it's a big issue, and the article further tells us that stigma over menses is still prevalent in some communities, with women considered impure and dirty for their and their activities heavily restricted owing to a thing that is beyond their control. And being 14
actually
clearly
is beyond.
Beyond. There's nothing she could have done about it, and the teacher, being an adult, should have come in to help out or just figure out where the problem lies so that they can actually help. So that she can help. But of course, we have lost a life just like that because of, I guess, ignorance, or it's quite unfortunate, but then what can you do about it? Now, that is a story that I would hope that we can take a look at further and see maybe how we can raise awareness about it, because it's pretty unfortunate. Now, fake money in circulation ahead of deadline. This is a story that has made headlines for months now, and it's on page 6 of the Daily Nation. We're being told that counterfeiters who started operating in Murang'a have now spread to Nairobi and Kiambu. So you need to be watchful of that. And now we're being given details about genuine versus fake. If you run your fingers over the new banknotes, you should feel the part that is written Kenya and the value of the note, which could be 1,500, 200, down to 50 shillings. Now we're just being given more details about how to identify the fakes vis-a-vis the original notes. But clearly this is a problem that the country is continuing to face.
Yeah, this was to happen. I was expecting to read such stories, because at this time, most of these criminals know that people are not aware or don't know about the security security features of the new banknotes, of
Yes.
new bills, especially the 1,000 ones. So they are going to produce them in large quantity, so that when you go, I was even talking to another vendor who does M-Pesa business, and in the last 2 weeks, the lady was telling me she has lost almost 100,000
Wow.
of fake money. She's
Wow.
given money to deposit, others come through, you know, they have
normal transactions.
they have crafted this art of stealing money from, and M-Pesa seems to be one way of cleansing or cleaning this.
And easy, actually,
Easy way of cleaning this money, because of the literacy or the capacity of those ladies or girls who are employed to those M-Pesa.
And men.
Men, girls and men.
Yeah.
But most of them are manned by ladies.
Yes.
So most of these ladies are very, very ignorant about the security features of these banknotes, and these criminals, they take advantage of that. So I just hope that the central bank might want to again do a sensitization activity or sensitization process, just to educate people on what are the security features on 1,500 banknotes, so that people, businessmen and women cannot lose money in large quantities.
Absolutely, and hopefully this can be done before it gets worse, because as we've been told,
as we approach by the deadline, then it's going to be a flood.
They might get into top gear as they try to beat that deadline and save as much as they can. Now, a story that has caught my attention also on the girl child is on page 4 of the Star. We're being told a bill to compel head teachers to readmit teenage moms or face 6 months in jail. Very interesting development right there, because they are asserting that many life-based schools are said to expel pregnant girls for having sex before marriage. Obviously, another issue that needs to be looked at that is affecting the girl child. But for now, we don't have time to get deeper into that. We'll take a short break. When we come back, as we told you, we're going to have the Situation Room in conjunction with the Spice FM. Do not go too far. This is Morning Express.